All right. What is going on, ladies and gents? How we all doing? What's up, guys? Welcome to the live stream. Bear with, I'm just getting a couple things in order. I kind of started this one in a bit of a rush today. Because, I mean, look at the market. You know, it doesn't really require too much explanation. So we're just kind of dealing with that here. But welcome to the live stream, everyone. I am here. Just on another monitor. We've got Bitcoin sitting at 118.5. Right here. Thank you. We've got Bitcoin sitting at 118.5, 118.7, just kind of bouncing around right now. What's up, ladies and gents? Welcome to the live stream. How we all doing today? Let us know in the live chat how we feeling. We feeling bullish, bearish, we feeling concerned, we feeling happy, feeling stressed. What's the read today, ladies and gents, in this live stream? Welcome back, everyone. Smash them up as usual. As you are coming in, let's see some likes coming in on this live stream here. We got a big Bitcoin dump live stream, so that's absolutely sick. There we here, just getting a couple things set up here. All right, cool. Looks like we are good with no issues. So welcome to the live stream, everyone. Smash those likes up. Let's get this thing above 50 right here. Bitcoin is sitting at $119,000, and we have penetrated the first box of support. So, no surprises here, ladies and gent. I'm stuttering. No surprises here, okay? Bitcoin is doing exactly what we had anticipated in pretty much the exact way that we had anticipated it would do it. Because we have this beautiful zone of support, and we front ran this level of support, then we fell down to it, and we formed another rising channel of sorts, which did, of course, have to break down. We're watching it continue to break down as we speak. It is in a very small reaction rally at the moment, and we're going to be seeing where this reaction rally goes, and if this can result in essentially another resistance hit that might end up dropping Bitcoin lower. So there's a lot to unpack in this live stream. Smash those likes up, ladies and gents, if you haven't done so already. We need to see 50 minimum here as we kick this live stream off. That should be easy. We're live every day. We hit 200 yesterday. That was pretty cool. And Battlefield 6 comes out today. Is already out, I think. So I was actually about to get on Battlefield 6, I won't lie. I was literally about to turn on the PS5 and get gaming, but it's alright, we got a Bitcoin crash, this is more important. The last Bybit live stream I did, Bybit does know this. The last Bybit live stream I did, I was actually playing Battlefield 6 in, like, the backstage, like, room. Just as I was waiting for the stream to start. What's up, ladies and gents? Welcome to the live stream. Smash them up. Let's get this thing above 50 likes. Thank you all very much for tuning in today. We've got the DGen cam on the right-hand side here, which is 1 minute time frame analysis of Bitcoin, and we've got Bitcoin on the hourly. Now, we have penetrated our first support box here. We're now in the much bigger, much more serious support zone for Bitcoin, which is fantastic. And we have support here that stretches all the way down to 116.4 with deviation possibilities as low as even 114. So we're very, very well aware of where support is. And one of the key things I want to point out to you guys is that if you don't like the fact that Bitcoin has support from 120 stretching down to 116, which is a $4,000 price range, it's nothing. It's not even 4% of Bitcoin's price. Let's actually measure this. 3.2% of Bitcoin's price. That's how big the support zone stretches. If you don't like the idea that Bitcoin might fall 3.3% and end up hitting support in that situation, if you don't like that, if you're not comfortable with that, then you're not suited to these markets. Honestly, a lot of this, I feel like a lot of my job coming on these live streams is telling people that they shouldn't be in crypto. Because a lot of people just completely lose their shit over price moves that mean absolutely nothing. And we're seeing one of those today. We're going to shine a lot of light on this today. We're going to look at this from all sorts of perspectives. We're going to be going through your questions, which I love looking through. If, by the way, we forgot to do the thing about where you guys are. I see a lot of familiar names. Obviously, we've been live every day, but let's see where in the world you guys are from. Shout out to Martin from the Netherlands. Looking forward to the live stream. Thank you very much, sir. We got EF YouTube from Canada. What's going on? Drop it in the live chat where in the world you're watching from and smash those likes up, you legends. Let's get this thing above 100. I know we can do it. And like I'm saying, ladies and gents, if you don't like the idea that Bitcoin might be dropping further within this support range that it's already in, then it probably means that you're a little bit too emotional, not super mature about what's going on in these markets, and usually that's going to be down to that's going to come down to being overinvested. Now, before I continue on that note, Bitcoin is right now continuing to slide lower. We are at $118,800. And sliding as we speak right here on the 1 minute time frame. If we do sweep this low at 118.5, that does basically put us then toward the bottom half of this support range. And that is not a bad thing. I'm not worried about that. That's very, very good. I want to see us come down as low as we possibly can in this support range. It's support, so the more we can use it, the better. No concerns here, no problems. So that's really, really cool. We'll keep an eye out on this on the 1 minute time frame as we continue on with this live stream here. Thank you all for smashing up those likes to 50. Let's see who we got in the live chat here. We got Lagos, Nigeria, Texas, Norway, or Ohio, Holland, San Diego. Tell them how it is, Sammy. Hell yeah, dude. Thank you. We got Thailand. What's going on, Thailand? I know it's late in Thailand, but we got a Bitcoin crash. What can you do? Sunny, Portugal. What's going on? Welcome to the live stream from Portugal. London, live from the tube. You watching this in the tube? There's no way, unless you're overground right now. We got Puerto Rico. What's going on? New York. Welcome to the live stream, everyone. Big Bear, California. There's lots of concerns and a lot of problems, sir. We'll go through them. What are your concerns? What are your problems? Let's talk about them in this YouTube live stream right here, right now, ladies and gents. Let's talk about it right now. Most assets are down. That's going to be a reason for some people to be upset. We got Miami, Portugal, Slovenia. What's going on, ladies and gents? Welcome to the live stream. Beautiful to see everybody in today. Let's take a look at the S&P 500, and let's see if the S&P 500 tells us why we're seeing this. And yes, it does. There we go. There is a fairly sizable, especially compared to recent days, a fairly sizable drop. And that explains everything. So I can pretty much, of course, just end the live stream here. I've said my piece. I don't really need to say more. S&P is dropping, so Bitcoin's dropping. Tough shit. It happens. It's what we expect. Why is the S&P 500 dropping? I don't know. I'm not, in the news cycle. I really don't care. It's not something that I pay much attention to at all, because it's all manipulated bullshit. Yeah, that's basically the crux of it. The S&P 500 is in a pullback right now. Let's measure it from its all-time high down to its low. It's a 2% drop. Okay? It's a 2% drop. And it took a day and 2 hours to do it. Okay? A 2% drop. So I think we'll just leave that there. I don't want to say a whole lot more on the S&P 500. That basically settles everything that we've seen here. And of course, Bitcoin is having, accordingly, a reaction as well. Seeing a little bit of a drop, penetrating, of course, these support levels that we were expecting. We were expecting that we were going to penetrate these levels basically since this bounce happened. I was telling you that if we do get this bounce, I mean, after we got this bounce, I was telling you that if we do come back down, this level probably isn't going to hold, and this level probably isn't going to hold. Now, what I told you is that you might get some bounce reaction off this, but probably not a big one. I told you that it's probably going to top at $121,700. That was in yesterday's live stream. Let me know how many of you guys were watching us live yesterday. Our analysis is on point. We know exactly what we're doing. We've been doing this for over 8 years in this market. Let me know if you were here for yesterday's live stream and you saw that $121,700 as resistance there for Bitcoin, resulting in a pretty sizable continuation down. So absolutely fantastic stuff. The market is moving as expected. Let's actually put it back on the S&P and shine some more light on this, because it's not a Bitcoin chart. It is the S&P 500 chart that we need to be looking at. And I guess what's really not so great is that this is happening on a Friday, which is going to potentially set the tone for the weekend trading session for Bitcoin and potentially for the Monday trading session for traditional finance. Again, we had Lloyd Griffiths here from that live stream yesterday. You legend, Geo Rider, what's up? You guys were here seeing that. That's amazing. Shout out to AL from Tel Aviv. We got Kevin from California. Shiraz says the 4-year cycle tells us to pack up our bags. So he definitely still feels bearish. Ahul says, what's the reason for the dump besides manipulation? I don't know. I don't care. It doesn't really matter. These questions are not going to help us make money. I just want to ask the questions that are going to help us make money. It's a 6% drop in all of my altcoins like Ethereum. Yeah, altcoins are getting hit a little bit. S&P 500, first of all, believe it or not, I'm going to say things that really might get some people's panties twisted. But the S&P 500 does trend up with pullbacks punctuating it along the way. Okay, in other words, let me use slightly simpler English. The S&P 500 moves up and it regularly moves down a little bit before it continues moving up. Okay, so we've seen this happen a good number of times. We saw it happen right here. We saw it happen right here. We saw it happen with a little bit more of a longer drawn out consolidation here. We saw it happen right here. We saw it happen right here. That's like at least like 5 instances of it happening since the low of April, March from Trump's tariff panic. And we're doing it again right now. So actually, you know, what typically tends to happen, believe it or not, is that as markets go up, they do have pullbacks. Okay, so we're forming a pullback right now. And what's happening is that a lot of people in crypto are over leveraged or overexposed in coins that are small and illiquid and dangerous. And as a result of that, a very small standard procedure move on the S&P 500 is again scaring people in crypto, just like it did the last fucking 5-6 times since April that there was a tiny 2% drop. It is again scaring people in crypto, making people in crypto feel very uncomfortable about their portfolio and where they are, and that's purely happening because they didn't really price in that the S&P 500 might drop, and that might result in a Bitcoin drop, and that might result in liquidity getting soaked up back into Bitcoin, which means liquidity moving out of altcoins. These people just didn't price these things in. They just bought the altcoin because their friend told them to, or because Discord or Twitter told them that it's going to pump, and then they got on, and that was basically history, okay? So that's clearly what ended up happening for a lot of people. And what we need to understand, we were talking about this yesterday at length. Smash up those likes, by the way, ladies and gents, if you appreciate the realism we're bringing on this YouTube channel. This is the only place on YouTube you're going to get this. Most people don't say this because it's bad for business. It's bad for YouTube, you know, essentially to tell it to people like it is. It's actually much more profitable as a YouTuber to give you guys unlimited levels of hopium and string you guys on telling you you're all going to be rich. But it's not true. Most of you are going to fuck this up. And most of you are going to fuck this up because you don't look at things like traditional finance and you think that you can just buy altcoins and get ahead in life. And you know what? If you got the balls of steel to hold onto your altcoins, depending on what altcoins you have, I think there's definitely a great opportunity for those diamond hand altcoin holders to make a shitload of money in this market cycle, especially going into the end of this year. I think it's overwhelmingly likely that altcoins generally, especially the good obvious ones, are going to do very well this year. So I definitely think there's a silver lining here. But what we do end up seeing is that in between, on that roller coaster, taking that scenic route to get to those higher price levels, most people cannot withstand the storm storms that come along the way. They cannot withstand the 6% corrections or whatever they might turn into. And I think that is really, really important. Smash them up, ladies and gents. Let's get this thing above 100 likes here. If you haven't already done so, definitely hit that like button. Let's push this live stream out to viewers who frankly want to see it, but YouTube thinks they don't until the live stream gets, of course, a little bit more engagement. Let's see what we got here in the live chat before I continue on with my analysis. Josh says, I'm just buying at a discount now. Tin Man says, what's up, Sammy? Thanks for your stream here today. Lots of important things happening in the charts today. Smash the likes, folks. Thank you very much, Tin Man. Absolutely. Lots of interesting things going on. Someone says, lol, Trump threatened China about rare earths and the markets reacted. I mean, if it's just a Trump dump and it's just Trump chatting shit and then the market's taking a shit, then that's even less concern to be worried. Not that there ever was concern to be worried here. Let's be clear, but it's even less concerning than that. And that's definitely cool. Of course, we've got people asking Shiraz for his fortune teller predictions here. I understand he's very confident about what he says. So maybe we should all be going to him and his YouTube channel to find out what's going to happen to crypto next. What's up, Leon from Belgium? What's going on? Sammy gives you way more than price action. Listen to wisdom. I remember the kid buying the Porsche. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Yeah, let's come back to the charts here. So standard pullback for the S&P 500. You know, typical kind of maximum pullback range for the S&P 500 is going to be 20%. We hit 20% right here, and that was essentially a full market reset. So I definitely don't think we're getting a 20% drop again. This is 2%. We can reasonably drop down 6%, even 10%, I think would be pretty nice. We still haven't backtested this previous all-time high. And this, I'm not saying this is a good opportunity for it to happen. I don't think it's going to happen here, but let's just keep our minds open. Pardon me. It is possible that Bitcoin does, S&P 500 does fall down to that previous all-time high, backtest it, capture support, and then carries on higher. It is possible, not super likely, I would say, but it is something I'll keep an eye out for. Let's jump over to Bitcoin dominance, which has shot up. This is really the first real kind of increase in Bitcoin dominance that we've seen since this move here in late July. This move took Bitcoin dominance up from a low of 60.4 to 62.5. That was a 3.4% relative increase. This time we have done better than that. We've gone from 57.2 to 59.8, and that is a 4.5% relative increase. In absolute terms, it is a 2.57% increase so far. Last time it was a 2% absolute increase in Bitcoin's dominance. So we are seeing a real Bitcoin dominance recovery right now. It's still very small. And given the way this chart has gone, whether it's this move up or the subsequent move up that happened just a few days later, whether it's this super tiny, super quick recovery that Bitcoin dominance had for like 3 days, Bitcoin dominance clearly is not able to sustain a recovery. Could that change here? Yeah, it could. And if it does change from here, we're probably seeing Bitcoin rally with its dominance into the 70% range. I don't think that's happening. If that happens, essentially what that would mean is coins like Ethereum, which have done amazingly against Bitcoin, they would have to sweep lows like down here at 0.17 BTC per token. I do not see that happening. I don't see how Ethereum can possibly fall down that low against Bitcoin again and then indeed drop lower than that. I just don't see it happening. Does that mean I think Bitcoin dominance is topped for this cycle? Unfortunately, yes, I do. You know, I mean, I'd love to be proven wrong, but realistically, from what I can see right now, it just looks way more likely to me that we are triggering a lot of fear, which we are doing. There's a little bit of that in the live chat. There's a lot more of that outside of this YouTube channel's live chat, showing us that people are very upset, very depressed, very scared with what's going on in these markets. A lot of reactions to things like precious metals pumping through the roof and the dollar dropping down to lows and, you know, all these narratives being spun up. You know, I just think that we've got enough fear at this stage in this market for a coin like Ethereum against Bitcoin to drop down to levels like 0.3 BTC per token, come back down in here, grab some liquidity, and then continue going up. I think this is overwhelmingly likely. And I think that that's what we're seeing right now in this market. I think that we've got a pretty realistic setup here in this market where we could end up seeing, you know, some further drops here. We're seeing it on Solana as well. I've been talking to you about this for the last couple of days that, you know, Solana down at 0.17 BTC per token, 0.017 BTC per token would be a phenomenal level to see Solana falling down to, purely because it has already hit resistance at 0.021 BTC per token, and this level was resistance previously, so it makes complete sense that we bounce off this level. Cardano BTC, for example, has now fallen down to pretty much the absolute bottom of this range. I told you I'm willing to tolerate another 10% down, which I know sounds a little bit crazy, but these are altcoins. They're volatile. Again, if these kind of things don't sit well with you, if you don't like the idea that these coins could drop by this much, then you are definitely not suited to these markets. You're not a shark. You're nothing like it. Don't pretend to be one. But here's XRP as well. And it's again just kind of continuing to find its way down into this buy zone. It's now actually back in my buy zone as far as I'm concerned. But I do think that we might be able to get levels as good as 2,100 Satoshis per XRP coin, token, whatever it is. I even forgot if it's a coin or a token. I'm pretty sure it's a token. And so, you know, 2,100 makes sense. We're sat at 2,300 right now. It's not a substantially better entry level. It's only better by, you know, a few percentage points, but, you know, everything counts. And if we are able to get some really nice kind of, what's up, James? Downloading Battlefield 6. Hell yeah, dude. I'll see you on Battlefield 6 in a little bit. That'll be really, really fun. I got a PS5 controller out. I dug it out and I was about to start playing some Battlefield 6, but then I saw the market crash and I was like, you know what, let's just do a quick stream instead. And then we'll get to Battlefield 6 later on. When are we doing TA from the Ferrari? I don't know. It feels a little bit tasteless. How do we feel about that live chat? Do we want analysis out of the Ferrari, or is that a little bit trashy? Let me know what we're thinking. We're so close to 100 likes, by the way. Smash them up if we haven't done so already. Dropping absolute alpha right now here in this live stream. XRP down at this buy level here, and I do think this could get better, especially if Bitcoin's dominance does keep rising higher. We are watching Bitcoin once again lose some footing down at $118,900. Let's get a slightly more zoomed out perspective on what's going on here with Bitcoin. Let's actually use the Coinbase chart. I don't want to use the Bitstamp chart for this. And that's going to be our support level. And we are just kind of, you know, figuring ourselves out, you know, for as far as what we want to do here. We do have the hourly candle closing in a couple of minutes. We have the 4-hour candle closing in a couple of minutes as well. So it looks like we are getting some literally last-minute volatility here on this 4-hour time frame. And on the daily, we do still have 8 hours left to go. So there's plenty of time left. A lot of things that could end up happening with this daily candle still. An entire 33% of the day left. Yeah, so definitely something we'll keep on watching here. We've got Bitcoin on the right-hand side, so we'll just keep an eye out on that. I do want to bring it back to BTC.D. Obviously, Bitcoin dominance being one of the most important charts here, getting a big breakout right now, indicating that liquidity is flowing out of alts and back into Bitcoin. So overall, I definitely think that we've got a nice setup here on this chart. You know, I think that we've got incredible potential for Bitcoin to continue sucking liquidity back up, but I do think this is going to have limits. I think that those limits are realistically going to be met around some of the macro levels. Obviously, one of the big reasons Bitcoin dominance has shot up today is because Ethereum has lost power against Bitcoin. It's seen a pretty nice, sizable drop here. Again, on this 4-hour candle, which also closes, of course, in 90 seconds, And I do think that if we are able to see this thing drop a little bit lower from here, that's going to put it in a very important macro reversal zone, and I'm going to be very interested to see what Ethereum can cook up from there. I do think that this would be one of the better levels to potentially buy Ethereum. I mean, essentially what we're seeing here is, a pretty nasty long-term downtrend that reversed exactly where we expected it to. Those of you that were subscribed to this YouTube channel are going to be very familiar with that analysis. We don't miss. We were literally predicting that Ethereum might end up bouncing off this level. This is the final frontier. This is the final support level that I was telling you guys about. That I was like, it's crazy even the fact that Ethereum got down here, but it has to bounce off here more or less, and that's exactly what happened. It pulled a 2.5 times gain against Bitcoin. That means 1 Bitcoin in over here equals 2.5 Bitcoins over there. And at current prices, it's still 1.9 BTC, an incredible ROI on Bitcoin. And this is Ethereum's best support level, this 0.3 BTC level per token. This is the best level of support for Ethereum on this chart. It was also my primary target for Ethereum. Of course, when we started coming down here, I had to readjust down to 2.4. And before we hit 2.4, I had to readjust down to 0.17 because it just didn't even feel like, 2.4 was going to hold. But I do still feel like 0.3 is one of Ethereum's better levels. I think it's a shame that we overshot it, but it's also fine because we did get a pretty much complete reset here. And there's a lot of things that could happen at these kind of levels for Ethereum against Bitcoin. So I think that if we do end up falling back down there, given the fact that we've now punched in a low, we're not getting that low again, right? Realistically, if the market is bullish, if the market is healthy, at least underlying, I don't mean what retail says or what your boys in your group chat are saying or fucking Jim Cramer or whatever. I'm just saying, like, underlying, if the strength is indeed there, then we should be able to punch in higher lows and higher highs. But more importantly, in this case, we're talking about higher lows. And I would love to see 0.3 BTC per token being defended for Ethereum against Bitcoin. That would be very, very nice. And we are close. So I don't think that there is a huge amount left for Bitcoin's dominance to continue to skyrocket. I think it could definitely keep going. But 61% kind of looks like a max level for me for what I'm seeing here. I mean, like I said, there's that possibility that it could rally up into the 70s, and that's what I was originally anticipating. But again, I just think at this stage, it would basically imply like literally potentially another entire year of being bullish, maybe much more. And I think we're already potentially stretching it. Unless we get another kind of 7-8 month consolidation range, that's probably going to reset the market quite effectively. I think that's why we've stayed bullish for so long. I think a lot of people don't see this because they literally just do not even study the charts. They just chat shit. But, this market has stayed bullish for a very long period of time, since essentially November of 2022 when we set that low, up until now, 1,100 days more or less forward. We are in an incredible rally. It's moved up by 700% now, which is an 8x gain. But I think that's largely been enabled by these incredibly long consolidation zones here, which this one lasted 8 months to break the all-time high. This one here lasted 6 months to break the all-time high. And again, we're just kind of slowly moving up right now. I think at a phase where, it does look just absolutely primed for an explosion. We did look at the 3-month chart here for Bitcoin on the logarithmic scale. And if we zoom in a little bit, we're just not moving particularly aggressive in this bull cycle so far. And I definitely think that this does imply at least some sort of, God candle, a little bit like this one or this one or this one or this one toward the end of the bull cycle. We haven't got anything like that yet. So I think it's very, very early to start calling for tops in the market. That's why I'm still quite bullish. That's why I still think things look good. I still think that the markets are giving us quite clear signs that they're healthy, especially things like the S&P 500, which has just seen a beautiful, beautiful all-time high over here, back tested in April, March of this year. And that, to me, definitely implies that there is more legs left in the traditional finance markets. Also, again, I'm a big fan of causality, explaining how causality is more important than essentially, patterns like 4-year cycles. And, one of the big things I think that's enabled the S&P 500 to continue moving up is that the tech sector is driving so much growth globally that even though other stocks might not be so strong in these indices, that the fact that tech is literally leading is doing a massive, massive, massive part in keeping these stock markets bolstered high up where they are. And I think that definitely could continue to be the case because I don't see the tech sector getting weaker at all right now. Here's Bitcoin at $118,700, $118,700. Just taking a little bit of a dip down right now, basically getting ready to sweep that low. So let's see if that does end up happening, because if we do sweep this low on Bitcoin, we are probably coming back down into the 117s. We definitely will probably hit the low 118s. So we'll see how that goes here live on this stream. Thank you all for smashing up those likes. Let's get this thing above 150. If you haven't already smashed those likes up, definitely hit them up. Now, if you're new to the channel, you've already gotten a very solid taste of what we do. We're giving you the best analysis you'll find on YouTube. But most importantly, it's grounded, it's realistic, it's going to tell you exactly what you need to hear, not necessarily what you want to hear. And that's what we do on this channel. We're here to make money. We're not here to stand in a fucking circle and hold each other's hands and validate each other's investment ideas. That's not what happens here. We're just looking to make gains, basically. So yeah, smash them up. Shout out to the BBL doctor for telling everyone to smash them up. Let's see what we got in the live chat here. What are we saying in the live chat, ladies and gents? What do we think? What do we feel about this market right now? If you guys have charts you want to look at, then send them over with this link in the description down below. That's the direct contact link. A member of the team will make sure that those charts get to me. If you are interested in a home to trade, then Bybit remains the best place in the game. When you sign up and start trading, you get up to $30,000 for free to trade with. These guys are solid. These guys have been around for a long time. And this bonus is free money for you to trade with. So if you make profits, you get to withdraw them. Blofin, phenomenal alternative. Very similar to Bybit in many ways. Super familiar experience, but very, very aggressive bonuses as well. So check them out if you are interested. Of course, all of these only if you're not from a restricted region. But let's bring it back here to Bitcoin and the live chat. And like I said, if you do want to send in your charts, you can do that using that direct contact link, and we'll get your charts featured on this stream as well. CME gaps still 80% likely. Yeah, we'll see about CME gaps. I mean, we're not printing them right now, are we? And apparently they're going 24/7 perpetual, so that's really interesting too. But yeah, we'll find out about that probably pretty quick. Some would say bull market is over. Just kidding. We're not here to bullshit. We're here to talk real TA. Hell yeah, dude, Geo. Shout out to Geo in the live chat. That's exactly what this is. So that's Bitcoin right here in this support zone. This support zone stretches out basically because of this consolidation range. It stretches out all the way down to 116, and that's essentially what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking to see here in this chart as far as support. If we drop below 116, I'm going to tolerate a deviation down to 114, but it should be quick ideally. I don't want to spend too much time below 116. And if we really fuck up all of those levels, then we do have macro support down at about 108, 107, 109, somewhere around there. And if that level does fail, then we are essentially leaving this range and trading back in the low 100s. It doesn't put the charts in an inherently bearish place, but it definitely means that essentially this entire run didn't work. And that would be quite annoying, because it would probably mean that it's going to be another couple weeks or a couple months until Bitcoin is able to set a new all-time high potentially. So I don't really think we're there yet. I don't think we have, that kind of level of concern in this market right now. I think a lot of this is just going to depend on the S&P 500. Bitcoin is dropping only because the S&P 500 is dropping right now. It's no surprise whatsoever. We see a big Bitcoin drop. It coincides perfectly with a big S&P 500 drop. These things are not coincidences. If we take a look at this on a very degenerate minute time frame, and we put these two charts side by side, you're going to understand exactly what I mean by all of this, because this is where that really big dump really started off for the S&P 500. And if we take a look at the equivalent point for Bitcoin, I mean, you know, the writing is very much on the wall. I mean, this is literally like the minute before the dump started on both charts. You know, this wasn't Bitcoin. This wasn't anything to do with Bitcoin. This wasn't a mark on Bitcoin. This was literally S&P 500 triggering a drop and Bitcoin triggering its drop at the very same minute. It's nothing more than that. It's nothing less than that. If we try and spin up narratives like Bitcoin is this or Bitcoin is that, or there's regulation on Bitcoin, or there's whatever, it's all fucking bullshit. It's all not real. Anybody that's trying to rationalize what's going on with Bitcoin is missing the point. Any YouTubers, Twitter gurus, Telegram channels, yourself, your friends, anybody trying to rationalize what's going on with Bitcoin in the crypto space is missing the point. Bitcoin dumped at the same minute that the S&P 500 dumped, and the reason for that is very straightforward. The S&P 500 is going to dictate where Bitcoin goes. Bitcoin is treated as a tech asset through and through. And so if traditional finance, which tech heavily weighs in, is seeing a bit of a dip, Bitcoin will see a dip systematically at the same time. It's not even manipulation. It's literally just bots that can see that traditional finance is indicating a drop. Therefore, Bitcoin should also be sold off, because if traditional finance is going to drop, Bitcoin's probably going to drop, and then those bots create that self-fulfilling prophecy, and humans lean into that self-fulfilling prophecy and make it even more powerful. Once more, for the third time, I want to repeat this. Smash up the likes for this. This is the most important point we're making. Anybody trying to rationalize this price action and tell you that this is happening as a result of Bitcoin or crypto having a specific bit of news or fundamental, development is completely wrong. They have zero understanding of what's going on in these markets. It's always just the S&P 500, and it is just the S&P 500 this time as well. Not only did this dump literally start at the same time for the S&P 500 and for Bitcoin, but the intensity, look at the left-hand side of the screen, look at the right-hand side of the screen at the same time. The intensity was the same at the same time. We got, essentially 5-6 minutes of dumping here on the S&P 500 with 5-6 minutes of dumping here on Bitcoin. We level out at the same time. We trend up at the same time. Bam, right there, we're trending up at the same time. Then we continue the downtrend at the same time. Bitcoin dropping at the same time as the S&P 500. They stop dropping at the same time. The S&P 500 starts slowly trending up, and so too does Bitcoin. So nothing that we are seeing. I know this is a little bit depressing, right? Like it's a little bit like me saying, hey guys, yeah, you're on a YouTube channel that's basically, geared toward crypto. We talk about traditional finance every day because it's so important, but we're more interested in crypto. You're on this crypto YouTube channel, and I'm telling you that analyzing crypto is a waste of time. It feels a little bit depressing. It feels like a little bit of a waste of time. What do you want me to say? Do you want me to lie? Do you want me to pretend that these facts are not facts? At the end of the day, even though it's a little bit annoying, even though at the end of the day, it's not exactly what we want to hear, and we want to feel like, we can indeed have some level of separation in crypto and trade it as its own asset class. The fact of the reality, the fact of the market here is that we don't have that autonomy in crypto, okay? Crypto doesn't move on its own. Crypto doesn't dictate what's going to happen to itself. It is just the S&P 500. We're dumping at the same time. We're recovering at the same times. We're continuing the dumps at the same time. We're continuing the recovery at the same time. It's the same chart patterns. It's the same shapes. It's the same intensity. It's just in different relative terms, okay? This is the only thing that's relevant for these markets for us to keep in mind. If we try and go further than this or make it more complex than this, then essentially all we're doing is we are admitting that we are not getting the baseline analysis correct. If we try and make this more complex, if we try and add further complexities on top of this analysis, we are only admitting that we're not getting the baseline analysis right. Smash up those likes, ladies and gents. Double check, of course, that you are subscribed for this amazing analysis here, right here on this YouTube channel. We are at 130 likes. Let's get this thing above 150. Shout out to those of you that are watching live today. Shout out to Rossini in the live chat, James, Andy, Gio, Samuel, Chrisma, Rama, Dreamy Vibes. Shout out to every single one of you in the live chat today, showing up and getting, honestly, the only analysis that really matters. It's the S&P 500, all right? None of this actually relates to Bitcoin. Bitcoin's just doing what the S&P 500 is doing. And so really, we can just go ahead and maximize this S&P 500 chart and observe what's going on here. The first thing I want to do is I just want to point out that, look, there's still 4 hours left in this trading session for the S&P 500. We're not even halfway through the trading day for the S&P 500. This is actually a very early time for us to be live streaming. You know, typically we're not live at this time, but I actually would prefer to live stream at this time. If you guys like this time for live streams, let me know in the live chat. Just with a yes, stream at this time, or just type in a yes, just those 3 letters, yes, if you want me streaming at this time more often. I think this is one of the best times to stream in the day. You know, basically everybody's away. You get a little bit of Asia, you get a little bit of Europe, a little bit of America. So I'm sorry, Aussies, you know, you guys were left out, but I mean, you're used to it, right? You won't take it personally. Got a lot of yeses in this live chat. A lot of people that are happy with this live stream time. And it seems to be a good time for the markets as well. So this is where we want to be live streaming. And, you know, just taking a look at the S&P 500 here, I can't say that this is anything more than, you know, a standard pullback right now. I mean, it obviously looks a little bit sharper than a standard pullback, but, you know, that's not going to be a reason to concern me. Yeah, no, I think overall we're looking pretty damn decent. You know what I want to do? I want to change this up a little bit. I want to try and go in Cointelegraph or like one of these like news websites, basically. I also want to look at Bloomberg. Is that the right one? I'm not even sure because I don't look at these useless, essentially, news pages. They're not useless insofar as, like, you know, they're useless, but they're useless for us if we want to be able to kind of analyze the markets and know where the markets might go. They're definitely useless for that situation. Always behind the curve, always getting things wrong, focusing on the wrong ideas. But they can be entertaining, and I know that a lot of you guys... Let me know about this in the live chat. Do you want me to go through news and stuff like that in these live streams? Because I feel like a lot of you guys read stuff like this. A lot of you guys would be interested in stuff like this. Just let me know in the live chat with a yes or an interested. Just let me know. Do you want me going through stuff like this? Because I think Bloomberg is obviously going to be another interesting one right here. You know, because it's going to be a little bit more TradFi, a little bit more kind of generic, and that definitely might, you know, be interesting to look at on these live streams as well. So, you know, we've got, I mean, basically nothing that really indicates anything super important right now for these markets. I mean, we've got very AI bubble, Bitcoin's high correlation to NVIDIA, Sparks 80% crash warning. Again, just coinciding with what I'm saying, that, you know, essentially crypto is going to be pegged to tech stocks in traditional finance, which is fine. It's whatever. It's not the best, but it's not the worst thing in the world either. Let's just see what we got here on Bloomberg. This might be a little bit more relevant. Stocks fall as Trump's remarks fuel trade jitters. I don't even know what that means, man. Why do they talk like they're so fucking gay? Why do they not just, like, just make sense? Why have they got to be camp about everything, huh? Shutdown pain ripples through U.S. economy with no deal in sight. We've seen government shutdowns a couple of times. The real AI risk is meh technology that takes jobs and annoys us all. Look, like, these guys are so fucking clueless. They just write anything. Could OnlyFans ever be safe for work? These guys are just fighting for relevance, fam. Bloomberg talking about OnlyFans being a path of work. in the late 2020s. I mean, these guys have no shot. Nobody gives a shit what any of them say. And that's why they got to come out with these completely fucking ass backwards fucking headlines. But bless them. I mean, you know, they're a dying legacy breed of media. And they got to do what they got to do. We don't look at them particularly often, but, you know, we'll look at them today. So, Wall Street traders... do I have to pay for these articles? No, I don't. Okay, I was gonna say, if I gotta pay for this shit on top, like, these guys have... these guys are on a different level. Wall Street traders sent stocks lower after President Donald Trump threatened a massive increase of tariffs on Chinese goods. Rekindling... It's tariff drama. Okay, it's tariff drama. So, not like we haven't seen this a couple times this year. You know, if we use that to color in what's going on with the S&P 500, then that makes me even less concerned. I know that we had somebody in the live chat telling us that it was essentially Trump, you know, spooking China a little bit over rare earths and stuff like that. But to color that in a little bit further, it's in the flavor of tariff drama. So, whatever. You know, pretty typical. The flare-up in tensions between the world's two largest economies came at a time when the equity market is already getting whipsawed by concerns about a bubble forming in the artificial intelligence technology that has powered the bull market. So this is the important thing. We saw concerns about a bubble in the AI sphere. Those concerns really materialized for like a super brief, like 1 or 2 week, 3 week period, maybe a couple of months ago, and now it's coming back again. I really don't see that we're there. Like I said, innovation drives markets up, and innovation in the AI sphere is not slowing down, it's only increasing. It's just that if you're fucking, you know, 60 years old and completely out of the loop, and all you've got is ChatGPT downloaded on your phone, you might be under the false impression that actually, you know, the AI sphere isn't going as it should. But if you're a little bit more plugged in than that, and you're a little bit more complex in your use of AI than just literally a chatbot on your phone, then you will know that we are still absolutely blazing through innovation in the AI sphere, and that these takes are nonsense. You will also understand, if you've built anything in your life ever in terms of a project, you will understand that sometimes there are brief stalls where you're working on more things in the background than things that you're releasing to the public, and that might make it look to the uninitiated that things are slowing down, but the reality is just that you're releasing things and then hunkering down and developing and then releasing and then hunkering down and developing. And frankly, the markets are too immature to understand that there might be brief pauses in that innovation getting released to the market, and that is completely normal. I think what's happened now with these markets, especially since 2020, with all of that printing, the stimulus money, the furlough, the whatever, I think what's happened is that these markets have now developed an expectation that we must move up only forever, and God forbid we stop moving up only for a little bit, or we have a tiny pullback, or, you know, an AI company stops shipping as quickly as they were shipping in 2023, 2024. God forbid any of those things happen. They think that actually there's a stall and there's a bubble. I get it. I understand where they're coming from, but I think this is just more of retail being completely incorrect about every take they make. Trump's remarks sent the S&P 500 down by about 1.5%. Investors rushed to the safety of bonds and gold. The dollar slid at the end of its best week since November. Trump said he saw no reason to meet Xi Jinping, citing recent hostile export controls. The social media post follows a series of moves by both the US and China to potentially curb flows of technology and materials between the countries, all ahead of the president's planned meeting in Asia later this month. At Jones Trading, Michael O'Rourke says the sell-off has the potential to evolve into a larger correction, especially if the US-China trade truce is over. These guys, with their fancy credentials, working in fancy companies, just come out saying shit like this, like they're making groundbreaking statements. Any correction has the potential to evolve into a larger correction, but it won't matter, and it won't be because of this US-China trade drama. It'll be because liquidity needs to move to the downside. That's it. It's not more complicated than that. I know you want to pretend it's more complicated than that because you're an intelligent person that reads the news, but you're not intelligent enough for these markets. I promise you, you're not intelligent enough for these these markets. Intelligence is a baseline requirement in these markets to have an IQ, call it above 110, 120. It's a baseline thing. It's normal. Everyone's got it. You need to go steps further than just that, and that's why reading these kind of things are dangerous, but fuck it, let's go because it's entertaining. Throughout the summer, greed has far outpaced fear in the US equity market, and the high level of complacency leaves investors vulnerable. Fair enough. The S&P 500 traded near 66.30. Well, it actually went a fair bit higher than that, so I don't know what that's about. Let's move on. Chris Zaccarelli at Northlight Asset Management highlighted the importance of the trade relationship between the US and China for market psychology. Good trading relations with China help keep markets calm, and a trade war with China. This is the problem. I remember speaking to people that are very, like, honestly, very smart, some of them very wealthy as well. You know, and I remember them telling me before Trump got elected that actually it'd be better if we get Kamala because things would be more stable and less dramatic. And I was like, this is a crazy take. You would rather have communism that's a little bit more calm than slightly freer markets, slightly more real capitalism, at the risk of Trump saying some hurty words. I thought it was quite pathetic and ridiculous. I don't really want calm markets. I don't know about you guys. I want volatility, okay? Whether that volatility is up or down, I think volatility is a lot more interesting. It might not be so great for these people in $10,000 suits in Manhattan that prefer the calmness because they want to scrape their 2% bots. And communism or fascism, there's no fascism here, though. That's the problem. You know, so if there was fascism, I'd be like, all right, you know, it kind of makes sense. But no, we've just got people pointing laser pointers at helicopters because they're fucking deranged leftist psychos. And I don't know, they just need attention. Everything's performative. We've been over this. Everything's just performative. And it's not actually real. These people wouldn't behave the way they behave if nobody was there to watch them being fucking weirdos. But anyway, I don't actually, you know, I don't crave that calmness. I want volatility. I want things moving. I want things changing. You know, when you get things moving and changing, that's where the world can move forward. That's where good companies go down in stocks. What's up, Ryan? How you doing, Ryan? Welcome to the live stream. I don't even know you watch this YouTube channel, dude. Welcome to the live stream. Trade tensions escalated at a time when calls for a breather in the equity rally are growing, with the S&P 500 almost doubling in 3 years. As the market approaches its third anniversary of this bull market of the October 2022 lows, we're starting to see flashing yellow lights. I just don't believe it when Bloomberg's telling me this, you know? Like, I want Bloomberg to be balls to the wall bullish, unable to see anything bearish. I want retail to be balls to the wall bullish, unable to see anything bearish. I want to be able to come up on this YouTube channel and tell you guys the market is very high. It looks like it might be due for a correction, and I want people to laugh me off the stage. I want people to absolutely insult my nan and make me, you know, like, seem like the fucking fourth Hitler or whatever for saying that these markets might drop down. And it's at that point that I will be expecting these markets to top, not a moment sooner. Markets typically are going to top when you reach that irrational level of exuberance where, you know, you're just unable to even have a sensible conversation about markets potentially dropping. That's when you start to get those moves down. But I'll tell you, when it's traditional media telling you that we might be in fucking so-called bubble territory, they ain't getting it right, okay? They're not getting it right. That's the truth there. Thank you for 150 likes, by the way, you legends. Ryan, watching the channel all the time. You legend, mate. Thank you very much. And James is saying, I love how people throw out the word fascism like they know what it means. I know, right? It's very silly. It's very silly. There's no fascism here. You guys haven't seen. Fascism is shooting your political opponents. That's fascism. Okay, fascism is charging a presidential candidate with multiple felonies that fall apart and taking him off the ballot papers. That's fascism. Fascism is not is not what we have right now, unfortunately, to the libs. That's not what we have right now. But yeah, absolutely. I think that's where we're at for this market. So look, I don't want to keep on reading this. I don't think that Cointelegraph has anything particularly important. Let's go ahead and read this AI bubble article, actually, because this could be interesting. Bitcoin's correlation with NVIDIA has surged to 0.75, potentially meaning it's correlated 75% of the time. I don't know. Analysts fear such a correlation may result in Bitcoin price dropping by up to 80%. Bitcoin and Nvidia stock are now moving more in sync than at any time in the past year. That has some market watchers worried about a looming crash. Look, so there is a problem, and there is a really significant problem that we have with crypto right now. Not even crypto, AI as well. And I saw something very interesting on Twitter the other day, which was basically just a graph of how it was almost like a bunch of bubbles on a page, and it was just showing how like each of these AI companies or companies involved in the AI sphere are dependent on each other. And we saw this when the FTX crash happened and a bunch of people lost their money, and Luna and Solana and a couple other coins just crashed down to zero. We also saw this, of course, in '08, where essentially what you get is a lot of the market becomes leveraged on other parts of the same market and becomes dependent on other parts of the same market. Let me color this in with real examples. Nvidia, Jensen is a genius. Okay, Jensen is a genius, and what Nvidia has come out and said is that they want to be involved in everything that Elon does. Genius, smart. This is what you want to do. You want this level of collaboration, and this is where I want to add that little bit of nuance as well, because I think this is really important and nobody really pays attention to this. You want this level of like inter-collaboration between various different companies that are adjacent to each other or that can support each other. You want that collaboration that's going to push that innovation forward. It will create a technocrat upper class in society, which of course we've already had for at least 20 years. It will create something like that. I mean, it's already there. It's just going to make it much stronger and more robust and much bigger. That's a problem. We'll have to deal with that problem separately. But in the scope of what we're talking about today, which is always going to relate back to markets and how you and I can make money off those markets, this is a good thing. It's going to allow these prices to go up. But the problem is that when we do indeed reach bubble territory, or when we do indeed reach a point where somebody scams something and the scam goes bust, or there's a Ponzi of some sort, or whatever the hell it is, your company fails for whatever reason, or the speculation dries out, and now you have too many longs and you need to watch this thing come down, and then the crash triggers panic, and then the panic triggers, a minus 20%, and now you're in a bear market. Anything like that could happen, and when you've got all these companies that are intertwined with each other, reliant on each other to be successful, you will see what's called a contagion effect. Contagion effect. What is a contagion effect? A contagion effect is essentially where, you've got one company that three other companies rely on because, they need debt paid back by company A. So company A is over here. They are a big company, and their success is going to be, and the success of three companies here is going to be contingent on the success of this guy. If this guy fucks up, if this guy goes bankrupt, if this guy has a problem, these guys don't get paid, these guys go out of business, same as this guy. That's contagion effect. It's essentially a domino effect where many companies get hit by the same thing. Maybe not even because of their fault, maybe because somebody else got hit. This is why, as a company, you do not want to be too reliant on external companies or external factors, and you want, your success, your survivability to be linked only to yourself in your industry, not to other players in your industry, because that is a very big vulnerability. But it's a catch-22, because if you start collaborating with more people and building that reliance on other people, you also have much more upside. You can see that upside faster. You can team together. So, it's yin and yang. It's probably, I think it's a net positive. I think there's a reason that we see this kind of thing develop in the banking sector in '08, in crypto in 2022, and in AI in 2025 as well. I think the reason that we naturally see these kind of dependencies forming is because innovation wants to move quickly. Innovation tends to happen in the same zip codes or similar zip codes. I'm thinking of places like Silicon Valley right now. And that's going to make it very easy to collaborate and run it up. It just means that we're going to have more extreme uptrends and more extreme downtrends. And if you haven't been paying attention, that's how the world works these days anyway. It's not great. It means that a lot of average people, be it average Americans, average Europeans, whatever, are going to get hit pretty badly. As far as investing goes, as far as speculating goes, it does create a better environment for us. Shout out to Leo Swipes. What's going on, bro? Welcome back to the live stream here. James Andy says, yes, this format of Headline Critic is awesome. Leon says, you're so right about AI. World Liberty Fi dropped 20% in 1 minute. James says it's more of a circular economy, which is what a lot of markets have evolved into. Exactly. A circular economy, a very nice way to put it. Pepe says, breaking news, CZ has just screwed everyone over. James Wynn and others have been screwed over by Aster. People have found CZ's house. This sounds like a little bit of drama that I don't really want to get into, but very quickly, I do want to see how these dumps are affecting Binance Coin. Let's go back to Bitcoin here for a second as well. This is a Bitcoin live stream. I may have forgotten about that, but this is still a Bitcoin live stream. And Bitcoin here on the 1 minute is doing nothing particularly interesting. Bitcoin's just kind of hanging out in this support zone here. Let's go back and take a look at Binance Coin against Bitcoin. No, against the dollar first. Tiny pullback from its high down to its low. It's down by 10%. Whatever, no big deal. Binance Coin against Bitcoin down by even less, down by about 7.5%. So it is actually holding up against Bitcoin a little bit better here, which is fantastic. Let's look at Aster. Aster was the other one kind of closely tied into the success of Binance Coin. And Aster is, you know, sliding down now basically at... Yeah, basically one of its better buy levels. I was talking about this recently, and, you know, I said that this would kind of be a nice buy level to see Aster at. I mean, it could drop, you know, as low as like $1.37, $1.35, but I don't really think that that we are going to be getting that, I think, at this stage. You know, it is looking pretty decent overall, to be honest. So, you know, I think people that are interested in... I don't know what's going on with Aster and if there's drama there, but... you know, if it's a sound pick fundamentally, then, you know, from a technical perspective, it doesn't look too bad. But really, I don't see how Aster is going to be able to hold strong if the rest of the market is still in dump mode. And I do think that, you know, we haven't shown signs that this dump mode is over. And because we haven't shown signs that this dump mode is over, we could definitely see more blood, not only with Bitcoin, but as a result, also with altcoins. Let's go back to this article here. Bitcoin's 52-week correlation with the world's top chip maker has climbed to 0.75 as of Friday. It comes in the same week in which both Nvidia and Bitcoin valuations have hit new record levels. Nvidia's share price has soared over 43% year to date, while Bitcoin has gained 35%. The lockstep rally suggests traders may be treating Bitcoin as a high beta tech asset. Yet, the parallels are also fueling fears of an AI bubble, with some analysts drawing comparisons to the late 90s dot-com mania. Market commentator The Great Martis said that the AI crypto rally may represent a double bubble. They love their fucking, you know, flash terminology, don't they? They're fancy, you know, like they're... You know, whatever these terms that like have a bit of rhyme to them that you can just kind of like go on CNBC, chat shit for your 7-minute allocated fucking, you know, like section, and you just say words like double bubble, and it's like, yeah, okay, the boomers will like this. The surge in AI-linked deals underscores the frenzy. This week, OpenAI agreed to spend tens of billions on AMD chips over several years, with AMD set to make OpenAI one of its biggest shareholders. A lot of interdependence here, which can definitely be a problem. The move is creating an investment loop. This is exactly what we were speaking about among a select group of AI companies. For instance, OpenAI has signed a $300 billion deal with Oracle. The same Oracle is serving as a strategic computer partner to NVIDIA, which, by the way, NVIDIA plans to invest $100 billion in OpenAI. It's one massive circle jerk. Both NVIDIA and OpenAI are also investing heavily in another cloud company, CoreWeave. NVIDIA has bought $6.3 billion worth of its services, while OpenAI has promised up to $22.4 billion. In short, these AI giants are all funding each other, keeping the money spinning inside the same small circle, and as AMD joins it, analysts are calling for this self-reinforcing investment loop. They're calling for it to be a massive red flag. And a little infographic here, which, I mean, definitely, you know, all kind of points to the same place. Yeah, it's true. These are not, you know, these are going to be problems. These are going to be problems. Parallels can be, but it's like, what's the alternative? The alternative is that innovation happens slower. So, you know, I don't think these people are lost on these risks. I think that these risks are clear to people that are in the know or involved, But I don't know, maybe a lot of these people are not, smart enough to even tell. I don't know. But I would imagine that the people who need to know about these risks do know about them very, very well. But what are you going to do? You're either going to innovate slowly or you're going to innovate quickly. And this helps you innovate quickly. And really, I think the promise of AI, unlike other booms, is that if AI truly does take hold of the global economy, then what we're going to see essentially is a lot of prosperity and a lot of abundance, a lot of cheaper stuff, essentially, right? Things will get cheaper and quicker, easier to deliver, easier to create. We're going to have robots and assembly lines in factories. All of these things are going to make everything a little bit more accessible. It's going to bring a new age of abundance. Of course, the problem with this age of abundance is that if you don't already have an investment portfolio, you will also have no money. You'll have no way to make money to buy those things. So tech is deflationary. There you go. So, I think there's lots of upside here. These are the things that, your Cointelegraph and Bloomberg authors, quite frankly, probably are not aware of. They're going to start hearing about these ideas as they go to various events like Token 2049 and whatever other conferences are being run. And these ideas will start spreading and becoming a little bit more prolific. But as it stands right now, I think most people don't understand that actually large-scale innovation in a way like this could actually make things a lot more accessible for people, which will essentially, it'll cause potential bubbles to pop, but probably not in AI. It'll essentially probably harm other industries a lot more that get walked over by AI, like pharmaceuticals. We're seeing Microsoft, in some ways, behave as a pharmaceutical company now. These tech companies will lap pharmaceutical companies, and either they will just enter those spheres or they will collaborate with existing big names. Obviously, hopefully, they just enter those spheres rather than collaborate with them because they're disgusting and corrupt. And it's not to say that the tech companies won't be the same way, but I trust them a tiny bit more than I trust the Pfizers of the world. I don't know. Maybe I'm irrational for saying that. People often forget that the dot-com bubble caused an 80% NASDAQ crash. Yeah, look, these things could happen. It's not like I would get it right if they are about to happen. I'd probably be on the side of people that thinks, we're going up forever, even as that bubble starts popping. Most of us probably would be there, but I just don't really see how. Again, it's like, and this is what I've been getting across on these YouTube videos, on these live streams, on Twitter. Whenever I speak about this, I'm basically saying the same thing, which is that if you are a bear, you don't really have much to go off that bolsters your argument for why these markets should go down or why these markets should see a bubble pop, right? You have concerning signs that could turn into bubble pop kind of, setups, things that could develop into bubble pops. You have concerning signs that could turn into that. But as it stands right now, none of these things have materialized or even developed to a point where they're concerning. All we have are early warning signs of it, which I understand and I accept, but you don't really have anything that indicates these bubbles are going to pop now. And you have a lot more indicating further upside. And it's just one of those things where, you could be a naysayer during an uptrend, which most retail are because they're idiots. Or you could recognize that we're in an uptrend and make money off it and be open to it reversing, so that when it does start reversing, it doesn't catch you completely off guard and you are able to do something about it. So I think that's definitely a real possibility here in these markets. So, ladies and gents, I'm probably going to be rounding the stream off relatively soon. If we have any final questions, go ahead and drop them in the live chat now. Today has been an absolutely amazing live stream. Thank you all so much for the incredible support, engagement, comments, likes on this live stream. Let's get this thing above 200 likes. I know we're so close and we can do it. So smash them up so far if you haven't done so already. I definitely think we're looking good here. I think it's been a great live stream. If we have any final questions, I'll start taking them now. But otherwise, I will probably head off. James says Battlefield 6 is done downloading. Hell yeah, dude. I'm going to download that pretty much right after this live stream. I'll jump on that. If you guys want to jump on Battlefield 6, hit me up on Instagram, Twitter, whatever. Either of these two platforms. These are the best places to reach me. Personally, if you want to join Battlefield 6, we'll be running this with a couple of viewers in a little bit. It was really fun. We did it in the beta, and we'll do it again. So if you guys are jumping on, then feel free, and we'll run it. Your streams have always been awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. Did I check Solana by any chance? Yes, I did. Solana's not looking anything too interesting, but I think it could drop a little bit more against Bitcoin. If you guys are interested, of course, check out these beautiful links in the description. You get huge bonuses to these exchanges when you do sign up and start trading. All you've got to do is follow the link, sign up. It takes a minute, and then deposit and start trading, and then they will give you more free money to trade with. You can withdraw the profits you make with that free money and then never use these exchanges again. You can just rinse them, get your money, and get the fuck off. I don't care. You know, take advantage of it. And that is very, very cool. Of course, always check your own local laws and regulations as well before you start putting your money somewhere, stuff like that. But yeah, super cool stuff. If you want to get inside of our coaching program, one-to-one, incredible results, then you can reach out using this link in the description as well. If we have any final questions, I'll take them now. Otherwise, we'll probably head off for this stream. We're 20 likes away from 200. Can we hit 200? Can we get 20 more likes on this stream? Let's see before we go off. I don't think so. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think we have enough time now. But no, that's cool. That's cool. If you got any final questions, requests, interesting insights, whatever, drop them in the live chat now. And of course, if something interesting does happen later on with Bitcoin, like I said, this was a very early live stream. If something interesting does happen, we will be back with another live stream to talk about that. So don't worry about it. Just make sure that you are subscribed with that bell icon checked so that you do get notified when the next live stream does go out. It's been a great one. Thank you all very much. Absolute pleasure as always. And yeah, we'll see you again in another live stream video, either later on or maybe tomorrow. It really just depends on what goes on and when it happens. We're close. We're 10 likes away. Can we hit 200 here? We're only 10 likes away. Travis says, late to the party, but I got you with the like. Thank you very much, sir. You absolute legend. Yeah, shout out to Geo saying, get in the gold channel. We're posting exclusive analysis in the 4Flies Gold Telegram channel, analysis that only Telegram members get. This is a completely free Telegram channel for you to join. More analysis from the team around the clock. Absolutely sick stuff. They're 5 likes away. So close. I know we can hit it. I was wrong. I said I don't think we can hit it. That was not the right thing to say. I should have been a little bit more optimistic because you guys have proven me wrong. Thank you all very, very much. But yeah, definitely make sure to join that Telegram channel if you haven't done so already. We posted an exclusive analysis piece there a couple days ago, literally just a YouTube video that YouTube didn't see. Just a 5-minute analysis video, no fluff, no shout outs, no advertisements, just straight to business. Very, very cool content. You guys are going to love it, so definitely check that out if you haven't done so already. Shout out to 𝐂𝐥𝐿. Love your content. Have a great weekend. Thank you very, very much. I don't even realize it's Friday. That's crazy. Could you tell me about Bitcoin? Will it go to 114K? I mean, that's kind of the deviation risk that I see. So that's kind of the minimum that I'm happy for Bitcoin to fall down to. But I'm not too attached to it overall. I mean, I think that's the lowest it can go and still kind of be very, very healthy. Lower than that, and it's probably, losing market structure in quite a significant way. I think there's also a Fibonacci, like 618 level around one of those levels. So, definitely is a doable level for Bitcoin to fall down to. Might not be, the level. I really want to see 200 before I go off. We're so close. We're 4 likes away. This is petty now, but I just want to see it before I go off. So if you haven't already, smash them up. I'll take a couple last questions before we hit it as well. If you guys have any other questions, let me know. Let me scroll up in the live chat, see if I missed anything. I know I probably did miss a few questions today. My bad if I did miss your question. You can always repost your question if I miss it. Just don't be annoying with it. Wait a couple minutes. Before you do post the same question twice, but people in shorts might want to take some profits. I think that makes sense. That's probably a smart idea. Yeah. If I could, I would like multiple times. I know you would, dude, and that is good enough for me to know. That makes me feel very, very happy. So, I'm happy with your 1 like. It's plenty to me. It means a lot. There we are, 200. Thank you all very much. You legends. Thank you all very much for helping us hit that. There's 2 variations of the 8-year resistance trend line. Do I follow them? No, sir. I do not follow them. Don't know what you mean. Love your content. Have a great weekend. I already read that. 201. Yeah, hell yeah, dude. Thank you very much. Thank you guys very, very much for smashing them up. Looks like we don't have any final questions here. Let me just do a quick sweep on the market. Make sure there's nothing I missed talking about that I wanted to talk about. We got Ethereum, BTC. We've already covered that. Trump coin is essentially a stable coin now in a sense, which is kind of interesting. XRP, we've already covered that. Brilliant buy level that it's in, and it could get a lot better. Doge, just kind of doing its own thing. I don't really want to look at Doge. It's kind of, they're all moving in roughly the same way. Yeah, no, there's really not a whole lot to talk about. It's really just all eyes on the S&P 500. See what the S&P 500 is doing. See where the potential bounce zone could be. This level right here does look like a potential bounce zone. A little bit lower, 65.70, also looks like a potential bounce zone for the S&P 500. So we'll just have to see how this goes. Like I said, we'll keep you updated right here on this YouTube channel. So you don't have to put in that guesswork. You can just come back here, you know, like I said, in a couple hours, tomorrow, whatever the case may be, and we'll be able to cover that with you guys. So yeah, we'll see you all in the next one. Thank you all for the lovely, lovely comments. You guys are amazing. Shout out to Samuel. Shout out to Brooks. Shout out to Geo. Free Fighter. Thank you all very, very much. See you all in the next live stream.